It is day 25, 10:14 a.m. in the Big Brother UK All-Stars house. I can't believe we've gotten this far into our series. At this week's eviction on Friday, we will be officially at our halfway point. So I can't believe our house guests have already been in there for almost a full month already. Rylan is the first house guest to wake up. He's outside fixing up the laundry, while everyone else is slowly making their way around the house, getting things in order. We have Gemma, she went to the kitchen at first to get herself some drink, and then now is making her way outside to the garden to tend to the chickens, while Craig and New York have a nice little morning conversation in the sun. New York's all dressed up for the day, meanwhile Craig is still in his boxers, of course. Unfortunately, though, our chickens are dying slowly. They are reaching their final days, and I'm not too sure if I just want to completely replace them or what I want to do. I never got them to have a chick. I think I just sold all the eggs or never really paid attention, so maybe I should. Let me know down below what you guys think about the chicken situation. Again, it's not really part of a task. It's just Big Brother UK has always had chickens in the first part of the years when it first started, so it came kind of iconic to the show. So let me know if you want to keep continuing on with the chickens, or if you think it's already too much chicken content for you. Rylan seems actually a bit upset for some reason. I also love that when Gemma called the chickens to come eat their food, Brian also made his way out there. The two of them slowly go back into the bathroom, though, where Gemma actually goes to go take a shower, where she runs into Charley, who is also just wrapping up her shower for the morning. All of the house guests are still doing the whole talking on the phone to no one thing. I don't know what's going on there. Meanwhile, Craig and New York are now way too busy to be fake talking on the phone, as they are woohooing in the hot tub right beside a stinky, rotted bowl of Beanie Weenies. Now that is my idea of romance right there. And it's just in time for all the other house guests to go ahead and wake up in the bedroom. Big Brother's actually gone ahead and turned on the lights, and as soon as they wake up and look out the window, they can now see Makosi, Craig, and now Pete, who has joined. The three of them just getting on in a really interesting position in the hot tub. It's right outside the bedroom window. Welcome to day 25, house guest. The house guest is beginning a lot more sexual, and I don't even necessarily think it's because I have Wicked Whims installed. I mean, that does obviously help the situation, but I think after a whole month of being around people for 24 hours, you are going to slowly start forming sexual relationships with them, especially if you're already so open where you're just having a conversation in the shower, like how Gemma and Rylan are while Emma is just there. And I mean, you see Brian out here by the hot tub, just at the fire, just hanging out, enjoying life, barely even paying them any attention. Same with Charley, who ends up walking over and joining Brian at the fire. Both of them just barely even look in that direction. How do you guys think you would react or live around people that were just having woohoo in front of you in public like this? Just let me know. I think I would be okay with it. I would get by. I've been to some weird, nudist communities and stuff. I don't know. So yeah, let me know what you would think. I think it is a lot, though. They're all very comfortable in this house. In the kitchen, we have Davina starting some breakfast. It looks like she's making herself a BLT, and Brian is joining her. I do think that animation with the pepper has just come from the whole joining of cooking thing. He's just helping her out, I guess, which I actually don't mind. I think it's kind of nice. So yeah, Davina cooks up a BLT, and Charley looks really excited for it. She thinks it smells great, and just goes ahead and swipes it up for herself. And now Davina is left with no food, and she honestly doesn't look too happy about it. She looks pretty angry and seems to be taking out most of her aggression on Brian instead of Charley, though. Cameron and Rylan seem to be making their way to the storage room to start making breakfast for themselves, or maybe even the group, while Nikki is the last person in bed. Our three amigos are still going at it in the hot tub, while Isabelle is by the fire cooking herself up some hot s'mores. And Davina, who just got her breakfast stolen from her, ends up going to the fire as well to cook herself up some s'mores instead of actually taking the time to make herself a full meal like she did before. Meanwhile, Brian actually heads out towards the grill to cook everyone else up some hot dogs. Right in time for Pete, Craig, and New York to wrap everything up. Well, actually, I don't know if they wrapped everything up, but to finish up everything in the hot tub. Exactly 4 hours later at 2:14 p.m., a lot of the house guests are finishing up with their lunch or breakfast, whatever you want to call it. We see that actually Cameron has cooked himself up some eggs and toast, but of course, as soon as it's finished, he just puts it down and leaves it for someone else to find and enjoy and heads outside. Where outside, we still have our three amigos, Pete, New York, and Craig hanging out by the fire and talking. Pete soon heads inside while Craig and New York sit a little bit closer, get a little bit more intimate, and connect just a little bit more. Maybe we have our first real, showmance going on officially. I don't actually know. We'll have to wait and find out. Of course, it is interrupted by the arm of the couch catching fire, and Isabelle's just sitting there. It almost catches her on fire too. This is not the first time this has happened to me. For some reason, outside in the garden, I keep having spontaneous fires. I'm not too sure if it's from the fire pit, just like getting too high and catching the surrounding things on fire, if it's from the heaters outside. I know right before I started recording, one of the light bulbs outside broke and caught on fire, but it was on the roof. So no one could reach it. It was very weird. I think it's almost like Final Destination. Destiny is just out to kill some of them. At 4:11 p.m., some of the girls are in the bathroom just pooping. Just doing girly things. Nothing too crazy is going on in the house right now. In the kitchen, we have a lot of the guys wrapping up their meals and just kind of hanging out. Rylan's doing some cleaning. Most of them still haven't changed out of their pajamas. I love that they all just hang out all day in pajamas. A normal Big Brother, no one would do that. They're always trying to look really good for the cameras and stuff like that. However, I feel like I would be looking a complete disaster all day, just hanging out in my underwear, hair a mess, ain't got nowhere to go, nothing to do. I'm relaxing. Out in the garden, we see that the chickens are taking roam over the garden. That's what I was going to say, but that doesn't make too much sense. While Davina is happy about that meal she just ate, she still doesn't seem too happy overall, and she still seems pretty aggravated. Rylan comes over to talk to her, but sees her mood and just quickly stops what he's doing. And he's like, never mind. Isabelle seems to be pretty terrified from that fire. I mean, she did almost die. It started, the couch she was sitting on, that arm caught on fire right beside her. So I kind of get that. Honestly, with all the fires that have been going on in the house, though, all of the Sims have a permanent terrified buff going on that whenever it becomes dominated and they start running around like this, I usually just end up canceling it because every day we would just have house guests running around. I have just gone ahead and gotten rid of that fire pit, though. When they abuse things, I take them away. So I'm not going to let more stuff catch on fire. So unfortunately, there's a seating area now that just circles around nothing. The rooster is crowing for no reason. He must have his times mixed up, while Cameron makes some really good looking sandwiches. I don't know what kind of sandwiches those are. But once Isabelle chats with him a little bit, she goes ahead and runs away to the bathroom, where she actually runs into Brian and Charley. I honestly think the three of them would make a really fun little trio. I mean, her and Charley are always in the mirror, fixing their makeup and stuff like that. And Brian is cool. I would think Brian would get along with Charley, but he doesn't for some reason. And even though Brian really has to pee, and even though Isabelle is terrified and running around, they're both in such opposite moods. They both still agree to woohoo. And of course, they run right past the bedroom. Who wants to woohoo there when you can woohoo in a really uncomfortable looking bench in the living room? Not even a comfy sofa or a chair, but a really hard Star Wars bench. I don't know. A lot of the house guests are now starting on their second meal of sandwiches that Cameron has prepared, while Craig makes his way over to the kitchen sink and starts repairing that. Craig is our handyman in the house, and I feel like out of everyone, he is the one that's most often goes and repairs things without me having to tell him to do so. A lot of the house guests, they'll do it, but you gotta tell them first. Once everything's kind of finished up, Cameron actually goes ahead and cleans the mess as well. We see Rylan's cleaning in the back, while Nadia and Emma get to know each other a little bit more. But as soon as Craig is finished up fixing the sink, he goes ahead and heads to the living room where he actually joins Isabelle and Brian for his second threesome of the day. At 7:18 p.m. in the house, Makosi is in the shower, and I've actually noticed, not that I care, but the men and female doors, like, don't work. There's no point of them, really. Like, the girls go into the boys' room, the boys go into the girls' room. No one really pays any attention to it, which I, again, don't really care. I just kind of put it there because it would make sense. I feel like that's what would probably happen in the Big Brother house. But yeah, I've noticed that no one really pays any attention to that. But they are all paying attention to the thing going on in the living room. When it was out in the garden, no one really paid any mind. Maybe there was more distractions. However, there is a bit of an audience out there now. Rylan goes ahead and ignores the show and just heads to sleep, while a lot of them, even if they have to pee, are still standing in the living room just watching what's going down. That would honestly probably be me. Like, how do you avoid that? Like, there's nothing else to do in the house. You're bored all day. You're all just sitting there, and that's going on in the living room. Plus, you have all these glass doors and windows. Like, I'd just be sitting there watching. Like, it'd be watching a movie. There's nothing else to do. Let me just enjoy this, I guess. Emma and Nadia are still hanging out in the kitchen. Emma's, of course, singing a little bit of a song for everyone. She only performs for small audiences, so this has not maximized her capacity at all, as Charley and Nikki are there to witness it as well. She's always singing just by herself or with small groups, and even now, once she finishes, she doesn't look too happy about it. It's been a super relaxing day in the Big Brother house, and at 8:41, not much has really changed. Everyone is still kind of munching on food and just relaxing. Now that the sun has gone down, a lot of the house guests are inside or making their way to bed. We see that Isabelle and Nikki are having a nice little conversation in the garden, and they seem to both really be enjoying that while also snacking on the sandwiches that Cameron prepared earlier. Charley's been actually in a really good mood today. She hasn't picked a fight with anyone. However, none of them have cleaned up that bowl of beanie weenies that has witnessed so much today. It seems as though Craig has made his way into the living room, or not the living room, the bedroom, where I think he was actually crying naked in bed, and Cameron was just awkwardly watching it. Not too sure why he was upset. I don't think he was self-woohooing. I think he was just crying in there, and he hasn't put on clothes since his whole little three-way action in the living room. He does eventually make his way to the shower to wash off, which he probably needs to after enjoying, 4 other house guests during the day. The group in the living room still hasn't really dispersed from their little private show they had, and a lot of them are still kind of circled around and talking, and just kind of wrapping up the end of the day with everyone. There's not going to be any ministries this week, as I felt like after having them last week and then also having the double eviction as well on top of that, these house guests really went through a lot. And I thought this week, especially since we're reaching the halfway point, it would be a nice little break to have them all be able to hang out together, have 3 ways, and not be constantly separated into little groups or being shoved outside or whatever. So, I mean, finally they are able to actually hang out in the living room and talk to one another and really spend the night with one another instead of having, a group of them outside in the garden and stuff like that. So I thought it would be a really nice change for once, and I just didn't really feel like dealing with ministries right now. And as we do reach closer on in the series, they will be done for good eventually. So this will become the new norm for the house guests that make it past the halfway point.
Bloom. Apollo Chaba. Zopi.
In the kitchen, we have Cameron really sadly bartending. I'm not too sure why he's so upset right now. Maybe because of the fire or something. But he's actually just makes a drink for himself and chugs it back. Hopefully that puts him in a little bit of a better mood. While Isabelle and Brian continue on with a little conversation at the bar as soon as Davina joins them. And she actually looks like she's finally in a good mood after all day today. As soon as she joins them at the bar, they both just leave. And then she's left with sad Cameron while she's actually feeling happy after hours of being upset today. I kind of feel bad for her. Like, what an unlucky day. She's had, like, no good social interactions with anyone. In the bedroom, Gemma heads to bed. She is the second to officially crawl into bed and call it a night. God, I'm having a hard time talking. Blah, 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 blah. At 10:41 p.m., Pete struts through the living room naked with Emma and everyone cheering him on and makes his way outside where it has begun to rain, so of course Pete has to shower in the rain. It's like him and New York's favorite thing to do every time it rains. It used to be Gary Busey's, but R.I.P. But weirdly, every time Pete does it, he doesn't actually really do showering animations. Usually New York actually does, but Pete just kind of stands there awkwardly and just stares into the distance, doesn't move, doesn't breathe, just stands naked in the rain. There's kind of a big group going on in the bathroom where Cameron has tried to come to use it. I honestly would have such bad shy pee in this house. Like, not only do you have to worry about people pranking the toilets like Brian just did, or them breaking on you just already, but also, like, there's always people in the bathroom that are just going to hear you in the stall. I already don't like using stalls. At least these aren't really American stalls. These are more European stalls. But still, I I think, like, my guts would be so blocked up in this house, it just would not work for me. And it would also annoy me people just having conversations in the bedroom while you're trying to sleep. There's already a couple house guests now in bed, but since it's still not the majority of house guests, the lights have not gone off. Therefore, a lot of people are still having conversations there, which would bug me. I wouldn't be able to sleep through that either. I'm a very light sleeper. I feel like I would be way more agitated in the Big Brother UK house than the Big Brother US. US, you have so much more things distracting you, so much more going on, so much more gameplay, where in UK you're just stuck in a room with very annoying people. So I don't know, I might end up getting into repairing things, because at least Cameron here gets to have a little bit of alone time while he's in the shower room fixing up the shower. I feel like I would end up just doing that, or being like a Pete that does chores all the time or something, just to kind of get away from everyone a little bit. There's really nowhere to escape, and when you especially unlock all the doors like they are now and have everyone going wherever they want to go, it really feels even more claustrophobic, honestly, because now there's just such huge groups in every single room, where before usually, like, the living room would be empty or the bedroom would be empty. Usually there's, like, little areas you could try to escape to, but not right now. And by 12:16 a.m., a majority of the house guests are finally making their way into the bedroom to settle down for the night, so Big Brother goes ahead and turns off the lights for everyone, while all the remaining house guests are in the bathroom slowly getting ready to go to bed. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode there. I will see you guys tomorrow. Sorry that today's episode was a little bit late. I am a tired boy, but I've honestly been pretty consistent and proud of myself for how often I've been posting. Tomorrow we will be doing nominations where we see who is up on the block and who will be leaving on Friday. And again, that's all up to you. And for all the latest updates, follow me on Twitter, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff down below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for nominations. Bye.